Hey guys, welcome to this episode of a podcast, at least to start, the OYL podcast. Really, this is for the YouTubes as well. And so we're going to sit down and talk some here. We're going to have some more longer form stuff coming for you. But today, it's Mike and I. So Mike is here.
What's up?
And we are here with the Dr. Ryan Perez, also known as the California Cub. If you don't know, Jason Khalipa is the California Bear. And he is known for back in the day when he was doing CrossFit workouts, going really hard and just trying to hang on. Ryan does the same thing. And he's from California, so we call him the California Cup. What's up, Ryan?
What's going on? Thanks for having me on. Mm-hmm. This is fun.
Ryan has actually been talking about being on a podcast for a while, so he's our first person that we're going to interview. So we'll
Oh, wow.
This one will throw up somewhere in the Spotify and Apple world. Not everything we make will be there, but we want to start, getting into more of this conversational style content because, we, if you guys were flies on the wall in the office, we have all kinds of conversation. We had a rant yesterday. We had a good rant yesterday with you, me, and Steve, but we want to get into that. So, yeah, Mike, can you kind of share some of your thoughts?
Well, I was going to say, if you're ever in the area on Friday morning in Hazlet, Texas, stop by CrossFit OYL for Fired Up Friday. You'll hear myself, Jonathan, and Coach Britt. We just lay it all out there, fitness related usually. Sometimes it's the personal lives. You never know. Fired Up Fridays, Friday mornings between 7 and 8 a.m. CrossFit OYL in Hazlet, Texas.
Is the time you have permission to rant.
Okay.
And get fired up. So
You got to save it, though. You can't just rant on a Monday. It's got to bother you enough that you're still holding on to it on a Friday.
you got to get that stuff out of you too, so.
It's kind of like therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting it out on Friday.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal.
Yeah.
Also, it makes good videos. It's a good tagline. Fired Up Friday. FUF for short. Hashtag. So,
Did you think about that name, Mike?
What
Fired
name?
Up Friday?
No, it just came to us in the moment.
Okay.
It was very obvious.
the best things are like that. It's
Just in the moment.
kind of like you starting your physical therapy practice.
Yeah, that kind of
Coming up in the moment.
started
But
fast.
we want to talk about what is health. I mean, the big reason that we're sitting at this table is we've known Ryan for about a year and a half now, and we've watched him grow and do his thing. And of course, Mike and I have been doing our thing. And the big reason that we sit here is because we define health a certain way, but we also see poor definitions of health out in the world. And so, Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, who you are, and we'll start with that.
All right, cool. So, yeah, my name's Ryan. I'm a doctor of physical therapy by trade.
Hi, Ryan.
Hey, Mike, how you doing? I've been a therapist now for about six years, going on 7. I started from California. I went through Azusa Pacific University, doctorate program of PT, and then I went through Kaiser orthopedic residency in Riverside, California. And then shortly after that, I moved to Texas. We moved to Texas during March of 2020, which was COVID world, about 2 weeks before the city shut down, before the world shut down. And it was quite interesting being in a new city and state with 0 friends and only my in-laws around to talk to. So, and of course, all the gyms were shut down, which I couldn't join a gym either. I've been doing CrossFit for close to 8 years now. And anyways, I've been practicing at a in-network clinic, the typical corporate chain rehab centers where, churn and burn style, where you see about 25 people a day in an 8-hour workday. And it was awful. And I looked forward to my 1 hour a day of CrossFit after work, treating Medicare balance patients all day long and not being able to treat the way we wanted to. So that's the whole reason of why I started Elevation. And Elevation, really, we were able to put our own spin on that question you asked, was what is health? And we're able to determine our own vision for the company. In Elevation Athletics was we get to turn the rehab world around on its head and really just give patients an amazing experience to figure out for themselves what health is, and getting out of pain is like the first phase of our treatment. So, like John, you said, we started about a year to this date. It's about a year and 3 months ago of Elevation been opening, and I started November 2022. 21. Yeah, time flies, but it's only been a year and 3 months. We've grown pretty amazingly in that time span, and it's been a blessing, because I think people out there are seeking, at least nowadays, people are seeking a different version of health and what that is, and what health and fitness really entails. And up to this point, health and fitness have been completely separate. Like we have a lot of miscommunication out there within the healthcare provider world of what true health is, and there's a complete mismatch with what fitness is in that span too. Healthcare providers literally know nothing about fitness for the most part, and if they do, they don't talk about it in their work days or with patients. And it's quite interesting, and it's sad, really, is how different our worlds are between health and fitness. And that's where I decided to bring Elevation Athletics into that bridge and kind of bridge the gap between healthcare and fitness. And it's working. I mean, word of mouth's getting out about our style over here, and we're just in a little area of our city. And I know so many other people out there that are doing what we're doing, and it's been very rewarding.
Well, let's back up a little bit for those that don't know your exact model. Mm-hmm. I mean, what do you do that is different than the traditional model that you mentioned? What did maybe a typical, like if I hurt my shoulder and I went to the standard model, the traditional model, what would that look like as a patient being treated versus what you do? Like, what do you do that's different?
Yeah. So let me just give you a quick rundown of what a quote unquote normal session of physical therapy is in these corporate chains. You go in, you get eval'd by
churn and burn,
the mills. You have no idea who you're seeing. So you go in there, you get in an appointment, and you could be seeing someone, a physical therapist who has never lifted a barbell before in their life or never lifted a kettlebell in their life. And they're trying to go in there and ask, how do I get back to lifting heavy, pain-free, for example. Anyways, you're going in there and you're getting assessed for an hour. And usually it's for that hour with the rehab technician or with the therapist. And they go off and they give you a templated exercise list and sheet to follow. And it doesn't matter if you're a 20-year-old who wants to get back in deadlifting pain-free or a 50-year-old who just wants to get off the couch again. You're getting the same exercises for the most part in that model because the therapist is seeing about 25 people a day. So after that first evaluation, you're being treated about three or four other patients at the same time, doing all the same stuff. And you're doing all your rehab about 2 to 3 times a week, the same exercises over and over with a technician or aide who has literally no formal training at all. And the physical therapist overseeing the care might sign off on all the notes, but you're barely seeing them 5 minutes per appointment. If you're lucky, about 10, 15 minutes, and very little manual work. So the style that, I was working that for a while, and to be frank, it was terrible. It was awful. I felt crappy all day just treating that way, but I had to, or else I would have 4 hours of documentation to take home with me, and I wouldn't have spent any time with family and stuff. And there's therapists doing that right now. That's their life. It's quite sad. I decided, I wasn't happy with the care I was giving. I wasn't happy with the quality I was giving my patients, and they deserve better. And so when I opened Elevation, our model is, we spend about half an hour with you on the phone before you even spend a dime with us. And we're really determining if we're a right fit for you first. And then if we are a right fit for you, of course, we're going to have you come in for an evaluation. But if you're not the right fit, we're going to send you somewhere else to see someone else that might be better fit for you in reaching in the goals. But in this hour with us, every visit from evaluation to end of plan of care is with our doctors, either with myself or we have a clinician on staff now who they'll spend an hour with you every time, and we hire no technicians or aides that go through the plan of care. And we see you once a week versus 2 or 3 times a week because we're able to devote that 1 hour with you to get you to reach your goals quicker and more efficiently. Not to mention, we have time to spend with our athletes to do barbell rehab, to do kettlebell rehab, to literally program an AMRAP for people during their rehab training. And we create like a cool WOD for them in their workouts. And we push them to actually progress their stimulus enough to where they're creating change in the muscle versus doing an easy band on the wall, easy TheraBand exercise on the wall. And that's really the model. The difference between us is we're caring about the patients, we're listening to their goals because we have time, and we're customizing care for them. And during that time, the way I say is phase 1 is getting out of pain. Phase 2 is really making sure pain is staying away and you're getting stronger and more of a performance-based mindset in transitioning them out of the traditional model of let me just get pain-free and get out of here versus getting pain-free and staying that way. And really going on all facets of the what is health question, right? Getting out of pain is just the first step.
Yeah, I want to pull that out. I hear that a lot in the CrossFit space and those that speak in that world. But they talk about the definition of health being not sick, not necessarily like a proactive or a positive. It's just like a neutral, okay, I'm not on a bunch of medication, so therefore I'm okay. And so, I mean, that's something that I hear different between the two models is one was get you to the pain-free. Yours is working on pain-free and then plus. We also want to get you back to performance. I hear that all the time. I mean, people chronically going back to whether it's chiropractor is probably the one we hear the most, but people chronically going back on a weekly basis for their entire life. Oh, let me get adjusted, but they're also not doing something about it to then fix whatever that problem is. I'm gonna lean into that, talk about it. Like how do you go from like what does the process look like once they are pain-free, but to make sure this problem doesn't happen again?
Sure. Getting pain-free is very complex depending on the individual, right? So us as rehab providers, we specialize in getting people out of pain. We can do that like with our eyes closed for the most part. The tricky part is getting that pain to stay there, stay gone long term. And that's where all these mill clinics, as you like to say, Jonathan, is what would discharge you. Like once you're pain free, all right, you're good. Get out of here. They don't have time for you anymore after that because they have such an influx of patients that I was the same way. I had the same mindset back then, but I couldn't do it. I had to just discharge people versus continuing work with them to make sure the pain's staying at bay. Because I had like 3 evals a day on top of a 20 patient day. So, we had to just get rid of people fast, not to mention insurance would stop paying once they're pain free. But once phase 1's done, that's where the real fun begins. That's where we have the opportunity to work on pure strength training and performance training in that region. So the pain, I like to coin the term with my patients, we build as many shields as possible to make sure if the threshold of pain is at a 2, and we want to once we get to pain 3 at a phase 3 or a threshold of 3, we want to continue to get as strong as possible and keep getting shields built on and get 4, 5, 6 levels of shields before the pain threshold's there. And that's all about how strong you are, how resilient those tissues are. Otherwise, the pain's just going to come right back. And that's the model. That's where we're differing our treatments from your traditional rehab centers. they don't they don't even have the equipment necessary to do so. They have some TheraBands and maybe like a 30-pound kettlebell at max. So that's the
I was gonna bring that out as well. Not to, I mean, for those listening or watching, Ryan works out of our gym specifically. We share a wall with him in terms of an office, and he treats actually outside he treats in his office and then also in the gym. So not to toot our own horn, but like what does like the facility look like different? What's the difference in the facilities? You just mentioned TheraBands, but like do they even have equipment if you wanted to treat that way?
No, not if they do, they don't know how to use it well. So they have I've worked in several of those offices that I was mentioning. If they have a barbell, it's one barbell, and they'll have a 25-pound plate, and usually that's it. They're lucky if they got a 45-pound plate in there. As far as there's like no dumbbells. As far as
that's terrible because if you only have one plate, then the bar is lopsided. So
exactly. Maybe work some oblique training, but
landmine everything.
And then kettlebell goes. I had the mindset when I walked into my old rehab center, the one right before I started my practice. I told myself, man, I'm lucky. There's actually a 50-pound kettlebell in here. One for 4 therapists. But I was like, man, this is good. And I was the only one using it. And so when I came into OYL and I started my practice at OYL, I had all the equipment necessary to really treat the barbell patient, to really treat the person, the CrossFitter. That's where I started our practices in CrossFit niche, and having the equipment necessary to actually treat them with barbells was so refreshing. Like we had one of your members, we got back in her 9th session with us, we PR'd a deadlift, and she went write it on your whiteboard in the PR list. Like where else can you do that besides a practice like us working out of a gym like yours? You can't. What other rehab provider do you see out there? At least another clinic, I mean. What other clinic out there do you see trying to max with their patients towards the end of the plan of care? We care about resilience in those tissues to make sure the pain is there or the pain's gone. So that's the difference in having all that equipment necessary to really treat the patients that we want to treat the way they deserve.
I think it's worth noting, we talk about the not sick thing, in CrossFit, especially with some of the newer CrossFit health things they're talking about is, I mean, even in medical world, you have things like A1C, blood pressure, blood sugar, all those. And the way the typical medical model works is there's a threshold at what point you're sick, and it's literally 1 point below that you're not sick. So like if you look at like A1C, if you're above a 6, all of a sudden you're pre-diabetic. But if you're at a 5.9, you're cool. But that's dangerously close to the bad marker, right? And so we kind of see that in the therapy world of like, we want these people to not have pain, but what you do is, no, we want these people to perform in a way that they define performance. So whether that's someone in the CrossFit gym PRing their deadlift because they like doing it, you fundamentally believe the human body is strong and resilient. I think some people believe the human body is weak and fragile. And so we got to avoid pain, but rather than using pain as an indicator, and we use that as the indicator to create a plan of care. And fundamentally, we know the body can get stronger and more resilient. So we'd rather actually make a change. And I think that's the big missing mark for a lot of traditional therapy is that they're like, okay, yeah, we understand. Let's improve range of motion, some muscular stability, some control, a little bit of strength, but not actually what does this person really want to be able to do, and recognizing that, whether you want a Spartan race, high rocks, CrossFit, Zumba, line dance, I don't know, whatever you want to do, like, let's get you back to that. I think that's kind of the cool thing about what Ryan does is he doesn't just say, okay, we don't have pain. He's like, no, like we're going back to where we want to go. Like we're going to get back to the thing that we want to do because like we're on a path where we want people to perform at the level they want to perform, not just potentially live this way because, oh, well, it's good enough.
Yeah. Health is so complex. Like what we're talking about here, being pain free is just one facet of health. And the model that we decided to pursue, we have the opportunity to talk with people about beyond just what hurts. We have time with each person to dive deep into their lives. And we're spending literally an hour with them every time. And we dive deep into their lives and figure out what else is contributing to your pain. Could it be stress in the daily life? Could it be problems with your marriage? Could it be problems with your work? Is it what you eat? How your sleeping patterns are? You know, my mentor, one of my mentors, Kelly Starrett, he just came out his brand new book last week about the human body and proper performance and function that we're actually talking about with our patients. It's built into our normal plan of care. Because if we're just focused on just one thing and getting you out of pain, we're missing 80% of the human, like the human personality. We're just missing all that. And so that turning healthcare around and you're like our topic of what is health, like turning on my perspective and all my healthcare friends, like we have to start turning healthcare around because our patients deserve that. And there's so much more research coming out now that health is beyond what your blood panels say. Health is so deep. It's so complex. And the only difference is with my degree, I'm able to talk to people and they're able to open up in a little different manner. And I'm saying the same things you guys are saying as coaching these people, operating a gym, but for some reason, because we're healthcare providers, people open and realizing the connection between fitness and health is we need to close that gap. We need to narrow that gap because fitness is health. And it's your choice.
Preach.
That's where in my opinion, that's where healthcare needs to go.
Put some numbers on it. What is health?
What is health?
If it's not being not sick, then what is it? Like, is it describe it?
Okay. In my view of what health is I don't even consider being healthy being pain-free. Like if you're in pain, it's just limiting you from your health. It's limiting you from becoming healthy because you're in pain and your primary doctor said you got to stop and you got to rest. Well, what does that do for you? Absolutely nothing. The pain and inflammation might go down, but then when you start going to work out again, it comes right back, right? Or you're weaker when you do go back. Healthy for me, when I'm talking to patients, at least in this last year and a half that we've been open in Elevation, I've been able to interview so many people that's come in our doors, is being healthy to them is making sure they are happy in their daily life, whether that's with their wife, whether that's with their kids, at work, having the time and opportunity to actually spend time with the people that they love and their cared and their family is vital for health. Because if we can't manage health in a matter of managing stress, managing your time management, managing fitness, you're missing all of the in my opinion, all the things that go into being healthy. And being a part of a family and a community in the fitness realm is huge because you're able to work out together. You're able to live life together for that 1 hour a day that you come or you go to class. And being fit and healthy is, in my opinion, fit and healthy are are one word. Like it's one concept, being healthy, being fit, because being fit means different. It can mean different things for other people. Like being fit for us is we're working out 5 to 6 days a week. Being fit for someone else could mean I just want to make sure that I can run a mile in case I have to go chase my kid if they run away. Right? Being fit and healthy could mean so many different things to many people. And our practice, we have the unique opportunity, or the unique, we take the unique approach and not just fixing that one thing, which healthcare is just so focused on. Oh, you have pain, take this pain pill. You're on your own. We'll see you later. No, it goes way more complex than that. It has to do with food, nutrition, sleep, exercise, fitness, the whole realm of the person, individual.
I heard you. I heard you ask a patient one time. I think they were dealing with back pain, deadlifting in the gym, and I heard you ask them, so if your kid ran out in the street, you wouldn't be able to pick them up.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I do too, but I remember you asking that. So it's not just being, I mean, that's an example of pain, but it's not just being pain free. Like you said, you've got to be able to go, we practice running a mile so that we can, a couple 100 yards is not that big a deal.
Yeah. Listen to this. Where I foresee elevation going is the healthcare center in the area for that person who has lost all faith in themselves, has lost all faith in the healthcare community, and has lost all faith in the workout environment and community. Because not every gym is operated the way you guys operate your gym. There are people out there who are like drastically obese. They're sitting on the couch and they've tried the workout, but it haven't fit for them. Where I see elevation going is not just being that center for the best healthcare experience when you're in pain, but for those people who want to turn their life around and they have an actual healthcare provider in their back corner to push them and motivate them towards fitness. Because in my eyes, if you can't go and pick up your kid off if they're running in the middle of the street, and you can't run to them in time and pick them up, or you can't lift your kid out of a bathtub because you're either in pain or you're out of breath and you're winded, that we have failed humanity as a healthcare.
Yeah, that's not healthy.
Providers. That's not healthy. We in the PT world, we have a terminology. We coined 1 rep max living. And what that means is if we correlate 1 rep max, we all know 1 rep max is to the CrossFit athlete. If we correlate,
so everyone knows, a 1 rep max is when you take a specific effort, like a specific lift or movement, and you try to do what you can do maximally for 1 rep, like one time. So it's a very intense, short effort to produce as much power or speed or whatever in one go. Okay, so what is 1 rep max living?
1 rep max living is for the people who are drastically out of shape. They're obese. They're sedentary. It takes literally everything out of them, all energy, to get off the couch and go to the bathroom, walk to the room, go grocery shopping, and they are winded as if they were maxing out on a back squat. 1 rep max living is where America is headed, because America's fitness is so bad that people are living in that manner. And if you're thinking about emergency situations and you're living at a 1 rep max lifestyle, how are you going to be able to save the person who needs saving? How are you going to be able to save yourself? What kind of living is that? And so if people want to turn it around, and they need just a healthcare provider who understands and preaches fitness too, then that's what I was saying, that bridge and that gap, and then we get them back into somewhere we trust as providers to send them to continually work out. That is where I believe elevation it needs to be.
Yeah, I was going to start to bring us home a little bit, but my next question, which is perfect here, is so what would you say to somebody? Somebody's listening, somebody's watching, whether they live, we're located here in Hazlet, Texas, whether they live here or elsewhere, what would you say to somebody who just identified with that person you described, that getting up off the couch, pushing, even just pushing the lawnmower around the yard or just moving the stuff, going up in the attic to grab the Christmas lights. Like that's a 1 rep max for them, and that taxes them, and they've got to rest. They trim the hedges and they're sore for 4 days, just trying to do basic yard work. Like, what would you say? What would use this platform? What would you say to that person, whether they live here locally or elsewhere?
I would say you've probably been failed by the healthcare community in some aspect. And you probably have, if you are that way, you've probably been failed by the fitness community aspect in some way too. And you may have been felt judged. You may have felt like the healthcare providers didn't give you what you needed when you went in there, what you needed to hear. And sometimes as healthcare providers, we have the flexibility to tell patients like hard things, and it's not personal because we're healthcare providers and we are able to say that, and we should say that. So considering that, what I would say is reach out to a local gym and see if they know any physical therapists in the community that can help them along with getting back into their journey, and to where they work hand in hand like we do together, of getting back in the gym, or a gym that they trust. Because you can't live that way forever. Something's going to break, and it could be your actual life. And so you got to start turning that around and really investing in yourself, investing in your family around you, and letting them, and just take that step, take that leap, because where you are now, nothing's changing. If you do nothing, nothing changes. And so you have to be encouraged that there are providers out there that are in every city. I know pretty much providers that do what I do, that preach the same thing, and we're trying to change the wave, the narrative of what fitness is, what healthcare is, because right now in America it's awful, and so we're trying to turn it around.
But Dr. Perez, this sounds expensive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. The model that we've chosen is, here's the deal. If you reached out to us, right, and you asked, one of the most common questions is, well, do you take my insurance? Well, here's what we say, is we take insurance. If we took insurance does not care about you at all. As insurance cares about saving their own money. And so if you could perform ADLs, which are activities of daily living, pain-free, they stop paying. And then it's up to the clinician in the clinic to carefully create an articulation on paper to where insurance will still pay. And that's where integrity lines get drawn, because you're trying to do a paper to tell insurance that this person still needs rehab, when in reality rehab would stop paying at that point. And so if you utilize insurance, you're going to those meal clinics that we talked about earlier, where you're seeing 3 to 4 patients an hour doing all the same stuff. And so what I ask people sometimes, ask them a hard question, is what do you value your time at? Do you want to spend an hour with us one-on-one with our doctors? Or do you want to spend 3 to 4 times a week going into a clinic, utilizing more of your time and resources, going to and fro all the time, just doing the same stuff? And not to mention, they don't have time. They don't care about you. They don't have time to care about you. They have time to get you out of pain and send you on your way.
And it's called opportunity cost.
Yes.
So one of the big things about health is it's easier to maintain where you are today than get back to it. And so a lot of people think, well, I'll just put it off. I can figure out if my insurance will take it. And then time creeps, and then they don't do anything about it. And then they're further along with their pain or problem, but they may not be able to get back to where they are today because they keep putting it off. And so people don't think, yeah, this may cost me more dollars today, but the opportunity I lose is far greater if I don't take action. And so when it comes to exchanging dollars for a service, people are caught up thinking that insurance is supposed to take care of them, but they don't realize that they're doing it for insurance. Like insurance is actually the winner here, not the person, not the doctor either, right? Like the provider is not the benefit. It's the person who really the insurance is the customer, not the person. But when they come see you, the person is the customer. And so they get a better service, better results, faster, longer term benefit, all that stuff. But people would rather, let the insurance company win rather than actually get the change that they want. So,
funny stat is insurance companies are realizing this. And so they're making deductibles and out-of-pocket maxes go up drastically. We had a patient the other day we checked benefits for, and his deductible was $2,000. So what does that mean?
It means they could just come see you.
Right. That means that if they go to those meal clinics and they want to use insurance, they go to those meal clinics, they're paying out of pocket anyways. And just to enlighten everyone, when I was in those meal clinics, they're trained for us to bill $200+ a session anyways. So who does that fall back on? The patients. They paying out of pocket. So what would you rather do? And deductibles and out of pockets aren't going down. That's not going down. What do I think insurance is going to decide? Oh, let's save our patients more money. No, it's getting a bit worse. And so they're driving all of us as healthcare providers. The last 5 years, the amount of out-of-network or cash pay performance clinics have like quadrupled because insurance is forcing us out. In order to give the services we provide and we truly believe work that our patients deserve, we can't take insurance directly. They won't pay for it, and there's too many rules and regulations. And not to mention, everyone who has worked with us has regretted it 0%.
I had a shoulder problem for like 3 or 4 years. I saw multiple practitioners. Ryan fixed it in like 3 sessions. And like the reality is, I mean, that's opportunity. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's people waiting around for everybody else to solve their problem, insurance or this thing or that thing, rather than just taking action. They'd be better off long term if they would do it now. And that's what Ryan wants to do, is he's positioning himself to where he's like, yeah, you're stuck on money, but I'm over here stuck on you actually getting better, and not just pain free, but like performing, And so people are holding out on these things, but they're wasting time.
Time is the most valuable. I learned this from you, huh? Time is the most valuable resource we have.
Mm-hmm. You guys need to know, like Ryan started in November of 2021 with us kicking him in the back. Doubting, hey, I wonder if this thing's going to work. And where are you at now, Ryan? You got another full-time therapist. You've got the superstar admin, Lika, keeping you in line. I mean, and it's because it works. Like he gets people to keep coming because it works. And the value for us is in the gym, we have people that we refer because we coach fitness, right? And fitness, I mean, the way I define fitness is just, being prepared for a task. So fitness can be defined, and it depends on the person, right? Mm-hmm. But what happens is we have people come in, they haven't worked out for 17 years. They've got health problems. They come in, they start moving. They're like, man, my shoulder's bothering me. They think it's the working out. They're like, they don't ever account for the 17 years of bad lifestyle that's caused their shoulder problems. So what we understand is that, that stuff's going to come up. And so we have someone like Ryan to refer to be like, oh no, let's get ahead of this thing, right? Why? Because if pain is an indicator, they can do something about it. But if people just stop because they experience pain, then you're just in the same yo-yo of back and forth in and out of the meal clinic, because it's like, I'll get the pain to go away. But you immediately start the activity back and you keep going back to the same place. There's a gap between therapy and performance, a large one. And that's what he solves.
There's a huge gap. I was in one of my old jobs, I was watching one of my coworkers treat an athlete. And the athlete was after every session, the athlete was saying, oh yeah, I was deadlifting this pain-free at like 185 pounds. Well, what did the therapist do? They just gave him the same yellow TheraBand and started do 20 glute bridges. In the back of my mind, I'm dying. I was just like, what are you doing with this person? You're wasting their time. They don't know how to treat. In the meal clinics, they don't know how to treat that way. And if they do, they can't. They can't. They can't push athletes to where they need to be. Hence, Ice Physio.
Ice Physio is an organization that does continuing education for therapists, but they have one that's called the CMFA, Clinical Management of the Fitness Athlete. And we know the guys that, put those on. And so we hosted one in our gym, and Ryan came to it. We met him. He's like, I'm thinking about doing my own therapy practice. And then here we are. That was in September of 2021 when we first met him. But, the cool part, though, Ryan, I always think about this was you're like, hey, I'm kind of interested. We're like, hey, come work out. And he signed up. He signed up and became a member. He started working out, started hanging out with us. And
at 5 a.m. / 5:15 a.m.
Yeah. It was a varying time of arrival. But, he still worked out. He still works out with us every now and then. Sometimes he works out 3 times a day because he goes to these other places and they put him through workouts. So, but what's cool is Ryan lives the life too. So it's not just someone like, and that's the other thing that I think you're talking about a place people trust. If someone came up to me, if you see me on camera right now, I'm not a huge guy, but if someone came to me and I was like, my frame, 5'8", 300 pounds, overweight, like, would you join my gym?
No. I would think twice.
Right. Yeah. I have a story. Back we went when regionals existed for people in the CrossFit world.
Throwback Thursday.
Yeah, Throwback Thursday. It is Thursday right now. We were looking at jump ropes. And they had vendors there. And so I was looking at, but there's this guy, and like, I was like, I know you're selling a jump rope, but it doesn't look like you use one. Mm-hmm. So I went to the next booth to the RPM jump rope, and the rest was history because that's all I ever use. This is not sponsored by RPM jump rope, but definitely buy one.
Influenced by.
Yeah, influenced by it. I still have that jump rope, but it was because of the image of the person. And I'm not discrediting his efforts, but there is a level of trust, right? But when they come in and they meet you and they see you, they're like, I don't know, man, this guy's pretty fit. If he's telling me to treat differently than these other people who are not fit. And isn't it sad that people in the medical world are sometimes the ones that struggle the most with their health? Makes you wonder about the work life that they have and the system that they live in. But Ryan lives the life.
I've been doing CrossFit longer than I've been a clinician.
Mm-hmm.
And so fitness, I'm able to really tie that in.
Me too.
Exactly.
Same.
It's 10 to 0 right now in years.
Okay. Well, but we're able to like understand and come alongside people. And like it comes natural to me. And it comes natural to our staff. Our staff, when I brought on my first full-time clinician, he had done CrossFit in the past, but he wasn't an active member. And so, the first thing I said, if I'm going to hire you, you're going to be a part of a gym. And so what did he do? He went to go join a gym down in South Lake where his daughter goes to school. And I paid for his membership. And same thing with our admin. She was hopping around too. And I paid for her membership because you have to live the lifestyle. Otherwise, you're just, what's the terminology? You're being fake.
You know what I like for this one? You're being the Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz.
You have the face, but behind the curtain, you're just a man pulling levers. But for real, the example matters. And so you talk about changing the way people who have been hurt by the system. How do you build trust? Well, you meet them where they are, but also you live the life that you're asking them to live. That's huge. Whenever you want someone to change, you have to be willing to work with them because, health is deep. It's mental, it's social, it's psychological, it's physical, it's attaching so many things, bad experiences. If I had a bad experience with a doctor, why do I want to go see another one? Because I believe all doctors are the same, right? And so we just start by delivering results. That's the way I look at it. Like if we can deliver results, then those people's stories can talk to the next person. There's people members of our gym that they'll be able to say something that I'll never be able to say, and they'll reach people I can never reach. Because I'm just the guy that, they're like, oh, this is easy for you. Like people look at me and that's probably what they assume. And I'll be honest, I've never had times where I was struggling a lot with like obesity or anything like that. So but there are people that come through that stuff. And as long as we deliver results, there's those people, and then they talk to the next person. And I know you've gotten multiple. You guys need to understand. Ryan's gotten people not to do surgeries. like significant surgeries, shoulder, hip, knee, lower back. And we're talking about altering their physiology type of surgeries. And he's treated it. And that's because, and get this, the whole other, what was the system telling them? Hey, you need surgery. Who benefits from a surgery most of the time, Ryan?
The surgeons, the insurance companies.
Right?
I would say let's do the deductible math again. You know,
Oh God, yeah. I had to pay. This was one of your members came up to us and said, my vascular surgeon said I needed a $20,000 surgery to fix my hip pain, to release some veins and arteries getting clogged up. And she said, can you help me? Anyways, a package later, she's pain free, and she's still seeing me. These I don't. That's a whole different rant about.
tune in tomorrow morning.
For Fired Up Friday.
They get too narrow focused. Is what I'm telling you. That's the gist of it. They look at one image and think they need surgery. That's the gist.
I really think you said it best. I mean, you said physical is only 20% of a human, you know, because I mean, we see in the fitness world, people ask us like, what diet should I follow? Well, what they're asking is, what's this single action that solves all my problems? And I'm like, you know, it depends. But the real question is, why do you need a diet? And normally the answer is, in order to feel a certain way about themselves, they need to be a certain weight or look a certain way or fit a certain pant size. And ultimately, that's how they socially, psychologically, mentally see themselves. It has nothing to do with the actual losing of the weight. It has everything to do with how they view themselves, the reality that they're in, and what reality they would prefer to be in. They're an ideal state, right? Now, we can help with that, but our goal at OYL is coach them long term, so that at the end of the day, that stuff doesn't matter anymore. We can start with that. You know, we can start with like, yeah, let's lose some weight. Probably a good idea. You know, like studies show that if you carry around too much extra weight, you have chronic health problems. So let's fix that. But let's also talk about like, what do you actually want out of life? You know, when it comes to health, like I've actually asked this a couple times lately to people, and you're talking about getting permission. You know, like you have the opportunity to speak things that are a little more direct than, you know, I've talked to a couple people lately that they're like, man, I'm struggling to work out and all this stuff. I'm like, why do you always stay late at work? And they're like, well, because, you know, my boss asked me to do this. I was like, are they paying you any more for it? And they're like, well, no, but I'm just the person they come to get stuff done. I was like, exactly. I was like, you're a high performer. I was like, are they paying you for that? And they're like, oh, no, I just do it. I was like, why are you sacrificing you 30 years from now for your boss today? And they don't really have an answer because they don't think like that. Their paradigm is, oh, I just got to be this person that gets the job done. I got to be this person that does the thing, rather than like, no, like I'm compromising my long-term health because of the decisions I make today. So it's like when they come see us, us, Mike and I, any of the coaches at the gym, Britt, Chelsea, Melody, DJ, when they come meet us, like we realize that it is a multifaceted thing. But at the end of the day, you know, when we show up, if we can help them build trust with us, that's the first step. Now for you, it's getting out of pain, right? Mm-hmm. For us, it's I want to lose a few pounds. But we may start with that, but we know it's so much bigger than that.
There's always more to the onion. I always think of Shrek when we're you know, layers of the onion. When the donkey, what's his name, Eddie Murphy. Anyways, when we're evaluating a person, oh, I just want to get out of pain, or for you, oh, I just want to lose a couple pounds. Why? Well, why do you want to lose a couple pounds? Why do you want to get out of pain? Well, I mean, because it hurts when I deadlift, or I want to look better in the mirror. Well, why? Why do you want to deadlift pain-free? Why do you want to look better in the mirror? Well, I mean, because I think my husband doesn't find me attractive anymore in your scenario. Or for me, well, because deadlift is my way of being stress-free or relieving stress. Well, why? You get what I'm saying? You're just peeling back those layers. That is what we're talking about of what health is. Finding the true motivations of people to commit to solving or fixing their health problems.
Mic drop. Speaking of mics,
I'm just going to tip over one of these times for a mic drop.
Just tip it over.
All right, Ryan. I love it. Hey, so if somebody wants to hear more, see more, learn more from you, where can they find you on the interwebs?
On the interwebs. So you can follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Elevation Athletics PT, Instagram or Facebook. And we have a website, elevationathleticspt.com. We made it simple for the same handle and URL for everything. And we're located in Haslett, Texas now, and we're serving the North Fort Worth community as of now. And we'll see where this goes. Could reconnect on this maybe a couple months down the line and figure out where we're at.
More to come on that.
Hey, you've like doubled and tripled in size and employees and all this stuff in a year and 3 months. So you're going to take over the world.
We're going to, yeah. I mean,
Let's brag on Ryan one more time. I remember like a month in, he's like, man, I hope maybe in like 2 years I can do this full time. 6 months later, he was doing it full time. 3 months after that, he was overloaded. So it's working.
I take about two new patients a month now because I'm just full. That's why we had to bring on Kyle.
It's a good problem. It means you're helping people.
The larger, my business coach told me this. The larger team, the amount of people we've helped just means a bigger impact in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my goal. That's all I care about.
Most important thing, though, about Ryan before we close out, he knows how to cook a mean tri-tip on a Santa Maria style grill.
Oh, man, that wheel grill, man. We go up and down over that live fire.
He literally builds a fire in a metal bin that has a grate above it that goes up and down with a winch. And there is an art that is basically him by feel of raising it up and down closer and further away from the coals, turning it, and he literally uses like no tools, and it always comes out good. So
it's about curating the fire, man. It's something about that inner human in us in the back of the caveman days, building the fire, cooking the meat. Versus what flavor of propane you using, bro?
brilliant.
All right, guys. We'll call it there. Dr. Ryan, Perez.
Thanks for having me on.
We'll see you next time.
And tune in Friday mornings for Fired Up Friday. You never know when they're going to show up. All right, guys. Have a good one.